welcome once again. Today I'm going to show you how I made this little mushroom house, or you can call it a toadstool house or a fairy house, and it's really small but I'm pleased with it. So I'll show you how I made this. Let's get started. I've got a little globe, plastic globe, and this is just 6 centimeters, so I have to keep within it so I can place it into the globe easily. So I'm rolling out some cardboard slivers, and I've got a fawn color, it's Corydale, and making a small cone shape, and that is going to be the base of my mushroom. And I'm making it slightly tilted, not completely round from all sides, so I can have the door on one side. So you have to felt it firmly, quite firmly. I'm just marking where the door is going to be and the windows, and I need it to be firm. So this is going to be the top of the mushroom. This is a bit tricky. I find it a bit tricky doing the tops there that are cone shaped, like the hats of the gnomes I did. So I've just made a triangle and I'm felting it all around and just shaping it with my fingers as well, so it looks like a hat. And once the triangle is done, I've just placed it onto the mat and felt it all around. Don't want it to be too big, so just measuring with the base. So as you can see, it is taking the form of a hat. That's going to be the top of the mushroom, but once you've completely felted it down, it won't have such a big cone head on the top. It's gonna go down fairly when it's well felted. I'm going to cover it with red, and I'm going to do that off the camera. So I'm just showing you how it's done. I've used a merino top, and I've mixed 2 colors of reds, so it's not too bright and not too maroonish. Just hand carded them. I'm going to fill them up with red. You can make it neat and keep felting it until you're happy with the look. I'm putting the colors around it. So this is all done, and now I'm going to add little dots on it. I'm using the carded wool. Just cut a little bit of the wool. I'm going to make dots. You really need really tiny amounts, so I'm just cutting them up. and you can place them randomly and felt them down. So now all the dots are done. Now I'm covering the base of it with some merino top, and it's an eggshell color. So I'm loosely felting it down. Don't want it to come out from the other side, but some of it will. So you can do the base before you do the red top, it's up to you. But as you learn with each project, I think the next time I do it, I'll do the base first and then put the red top on. Make the edges neater. Now I'm taking really tiny shreds of brown wool and just at the base of the circles, felting it down so it gives a little bit of depth to the dots. It's up to you really. Now for the base, I don't know what they're called, but the mushrooms have these lines at the base. So I'm using some wool. I've cut it into pieces and then I've opened them up. The yarn, the knitting yarn. Just cut some pieces and open them up to get some curls. I'm making lines with them. You can use a darker color if you have. So this is all done and you can see that the white has come out from the other side. Now this can look kind of natural, but I'm gonna put more red on it just to hide it. So I'm covering the red top with more wool where the white had come out from the other side. So you can do the base first and then put on the red coat and make the dots. So for the door, I'm gonna cut it out. You need a sharper scissor. I think my scissors are not that sharp, but they're just about doing the job. Yeah, I need a sharper pair of scissors. So once you've cut out, don't cut too deeply, just have to place the door here. Felt down the edges. tiny door. It's just gonna fit there. I'm using brown carded wool for this. And I'm shaping it while felting it. So I've got a round top. And make sure it fits onto your mushroom so you got the right size. I'm making tiny lines on it with the lighter brown color. So this is the detailing part, and I really enjoy this part. Once you've made the shape, I like the detailing part. So just rolling out a tiny ball, the same color, and that is going to be the knob. I like doing tiny things. And I'm going to just stab it in place. For the windows, I'm using yellow color, so it shows that the light is on inside. There's some yellow on both the windows. I'm going to give it outline with a strand of brown. You can give as much details as you want, or make a slightly bigger house, so detailing is more fun. Giving it little shades all around, a bit darker brown color. More details around the door. The last house I made little round pebbles around the door, and it looked nice. You can do that. You can even use a pipe cleaner for the top of the mushroom's head, so you get a nice cone if you want. It looked too thin, so I added more wool. You can add more wool at any point. and this is going to hide all the brown shades that I had given it, so I have to do them again. So I'm going over it with little light brown color just to give it a bit of depth. Little more details on top of the door. This is kind of a signboard. You can make a little lamp hanging. So now I'm going to attach it. Going all around, just tapping it down. I've measured out the base, and I'm going to make a little platform where the house is going to sit. So it has to sit right onto the lid. This is the base wall, and now I'm going to cover it with greens. Using 2 shades of greens that I have. Using less wool so I can have the lighter green coming out as well, just through the dark green. So I've got shades in the grass. Just see where it's going to sit. Just mark that. I'm going to make a little path for stones. Little shades of grey, just tiny bit. So this is the little path leading to the house, and here I'm going to make a small wall of rocks, kind of a hedge. I'm using shades of grey, and on this side I'm using some bright green colored wool and some pink and purples, just tiny dots, and they will look like flowers. So you can use whatever colors you've got. so it becomes a little garden with flowers and plants. I'm going to make a really tiny mushroom to go with the house because I think it needed more details. Just rolled some wool into a stem shape and some red wool for the top. It is tiny, so it needs to be stamped carefully, just around top, and I'm shaping it with my fingers. This is how I did it. Making another one, just a little tiny stem and some red colored wool rolled into a ball. It's kind of a swirl. I'm felting it down. Taken a strand and I rolled it into a swirl and then I felted it down, and now I'm attaching the stem to it so it makes a really tiny mushroom, and these are going to go on both sides of the house. Attached one to the bottom of the bigger mushroom, and the other one I'm going to attach somewhere in the garden. Carefully attaching the house to the base. Now I'm going to make a really tiny bunny to be sitting outside, and it depends on the size you need or you can felt. This is going to be really tiny. So I'm rolling out a small ball and another ball to go on top as a head. So kind of two balls, one is a slightly bigger and the other one is more tinier. This is going to be the head. Not gonna go too much into the details, just want it to be sitting there. Here I'm attaching the head to the body, going all around, and you have to be really careful. Don't poke yourself. Tiny things are a bit tough to do. Attaching a tiny muzzle to the head. And this is going to be the ear. Just some wool rolled out to a thin strip, and that's going to be the tiny ears. to do one more. And when I'm done with two, I actually had to make three and one was a bit too big, so I made another one until they were the right size. Cut off the extra bit, and there you have your tiny little rabbit. And you have to make sure that you don't go a bit too big, because he has to be sitting there and be in the right ratio with the house. I'm gonna make tiny feet, really tiny. Two tiny strips and attach them to the base of the body. And there he is. Has really tiny arms as well. There he's attached. There you can see it's done. I've given it tiny dots with the pen for the eyes. It was so tiny that I could do it with the pen. And I hope you liked it. And I hope you do try making it. Thanks a lot for watching.